Just yesterday, MVIS was up over 144% on the week, or $9.74 per share. But MVIS has already given up 26% of those gains and looks like it'll continue to drop even further. Now, we know that Hindenburg short seller came out with allegations yesterday, but the stock ignored those allegations and ran up 60% after they were announced. So what exactly is behind this large and scary drop from nearly $10 a share all the way back down into the $6 range? Either way, the stock is still up 40%, which is nice, but what we want to know is this just the inevitable part of people taking profits that comes after a big rally like this? Or is it something more serious? More importantly, what should you expect from the price action moving forward? In this video, I'm going to be explaining exactly what's going on behind the scenes to help you understand exactly what's going on with the MVIS stock, and so that you'll know what you should be doing moving forward. And we're going to be starting right now. Hey, what's going on? It's Pat from Top Ticker Trades. If you're new here and you want to learn how to use stocks and options to make your portfolio go parabolic, make sure you start now by subscribing and tapping that bell so you never miss an upload. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today we are here to talk about MVIS. Now, I want to get right into it, ladies and gentlemen, but before I do, I would like to ask you to please consider giving this video an early thumbs up, as it greatly, and I can't stress that enough, helps to support this channel. I put a lot of time and effort into each video so that we could all make money from the market together. And if you're not part of the family yet, I want you to join my family. We're growing fast, both as a community and financially by the day. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to tap that bell so you have access to videos as soon as they come out. And now we're back to MVIS. So we should start off by first addressing a few things that we can, or at least should, expect to see after a monstrous rally such as the one that we just witnessed taking place with MVIS or Microvision stock. Now, anytime that we see a rally of this capacity, we should assume that, number one, someone made some serious money from this move, and hopefully it was you. And number two, someone is on standby looking to take some, if not all, of the money that you just made. But the key thing to remember here, ladies and gentlemen, is that there's always a transfer of wealth taking place in the stock market. Whether it's you that's on the receiving end of this transfer or not is completely up to you. And yes, I do know that it's Christmas time, but I imagine that when it comes to your trading and investing profits, you're probably like me, which would mean that you're not exactly in a giving mood. Now, unfortunately, the only way to stop yourself from doing a little bit of extra giving this holiday season is to sometimes tap that sell button. So I realize that there are some of you that simply are just trading this stock and have absolutely no problem taking profits, as this stock or this company means nothing to you. But others here are investing in MVIS and have extremely high convictions when it comes to this company. So allow me to say that while I do have my own personal views and opinions, I respect both sides. So with that being said, my job is to pretty much just help you make money, no matter which of the two categories you fall into. And therefore, I will offer my opinion on how to handle certain situations in the market as they apply to MVIS today in this situation, in order to help you get the most out of your investment or trade. But going back to my 2 points and to address number two specifically, you always have two sides battling it out for the grand prize when it comes to the stock market. And this is what we would commonly refer to as the bears and the bulls. And these two entities are constantly going at it, and this is what creates a balance in the market. Although it doesn't necessarily have to be an equal balance, but when one side defeats the other, it is essentially creating an imbalance which must be corrected. Overall, on an annual basis, a good return in the market would be something along the lines of around 10%. So when we have a move like the one that we just saw out of MVIS, you could say that it disrupts the natural order of things and inevitably draws a lot of attention. This draws the bears out of hibernation, and now they have their sights set on MVIS, which is going to be on their radar as a major target. This is especially true for penny stocks, as they can oftentimes tend to make really easy targets that become very lucrative for these bears. So as you can imagine, Hindenburg Research, which is run by Nate Anderson, was probably foaming at the mouth when he saw this move taking place, which caused him to dig in and try to take a shot at MVIS. Another thing that's happened recently is that due to the Roni, we've got a lot of new people that are in the stock market, trading stocks or investing, whatever they're doing. But there's a ton of new people that are in the stock market. A lot of them still don't know what they're doing. They're not educated when it comes to investing or trading. So as a result, we've got stocks that are going up much higher than they normally would. And not specifically even mentioning MVIS, but just in general, stocks are a lot higher, much higher than they normally would be based on their valuation. They're essentially trading on much higher valuations than they're supposed to be. And we see this coming out a lot. And we even saw this coming out in an article today due to Hindenburg shorting MVIS. Now, it's not just Hindenburg, but there have been a lot of short sellers here recently. Well, when I say a lot, I actually am referring to there's been a lot of short seller activity, but it's mainly the same short sellers that we see. And every now and again, we see some new ones popping up that, don't even have a name that they're willing to share with us. So what I do want to say is that these short sellers, they take advantage of the fact that there are new people in the market that don't know what they're doing. They take advantage of the fact that these people can be easily manipulated and scared into selling off their shares. And ultimately, it puts more money in the pocket of the short seller. So in other words, these short sellers are highly incentivized to basically put out information that may not always be true. It all depends on the stock and what the stock is doing and how big of a movement we're seeing out of the stock. But I will tell you this. Sometimes these short sellers, their reports are legit. They will find a company where something is terribly wrong and they'll expose that company and make their money the good old-fashioned honest way. But other times, and I've seen the other times a lot more than I see the honest times, what these short sellers will do is pretty much just jump on a company that they know they can take advantage of by putting fear into the market or into the people that are holding the stock. But of course, it's got to be worth their while. So they're not just going to attack any company at any time. They're going to wait until the right time. And when's the right time for a short seller to attack a stock? Well, I'll tell you, the right time is when they can make the most money, and they can make the most money when the stock has made a parabolic move. And I would consider what MVIS just did a parabolic move. So they see this big move. There's really not any type of news out. There's no catalyst that could justify this move. And to be honest, what have we seen? What kind of news have we seen out of Microvision to pretty much justify this move? Well, really, in my opinion, we haven't seen any news that would justify this move. What we have been seeing is that penny stocks are taking off for pretty much no reason at all. Some of them are taking off based on what YouTubers are putting out, and that's a whole nother story that I may address in another video. But the only two pieces of news, really one piece of news that we've received or heard about from Microvision, MVIS, is some patent news, and that we will be talking about in another video because it deserves its own video, and it's going to be a good and long one, so make sure you're watching for that because I may have it out tonight. But the second catalyst behind this move has basically just been hype off speculation that Microvision will be bought out by Ford or maybe another company. But as far as any solid evidence, something that will let us know for sure that this is going down, none of that is out there. It has not been released. Now, whether or not it's going to happen, I do not know the answer to that. And I don't think that there's anybody that does know other than the two companies themselves, if that's even in the plan. But largely this speculation is based off of rumors due to the fact that an executive or somebody that used to work for Ford is now on the board at MVIS, which in my opinion isn't strong enough evidence, especially since neither company has acknowledged this or even mentioned it to be a possibility. And we've seen this in the past from this specific company with companies like Microsoft. And I'm bringing it up because it actually came up in the comments of one of the last videos I made about Microvision. So Microvision was supposed to be getting acquired by Microsoft, and they had a pretty decent case built for that, and none of the stuff could actually really be verified and solid evidence that to me meant that Microsoft would acquire Microvision. But if you were, an outsider just looking at it and didn't know any better, it sounded real good. So what ended up happening, the rumor kind of died off because it never happened, and Microsoft ended up finally denying it because one of the MVIS investors asked during a live call. And in my honest opinion, we're seeing the same thing here happening with Ford, and the rumors or speculation that Ford is going to acquire Microvision. I don't see that happening. I don't think it's very likely at all. I think that if it were to happen, we would have more solid evidence that it would happen. For instance, the companies would be talking about it. Either the company leadership would announce something saying that they're in talks about being acquired or acquiring the other company, or you would just see it happen. But there's not going to be rumors that can't be verified that they actually came from a legitimate source, such as the company itself, one of the two companies, either the one that's being acquired or the one that's doing the acquiring. Anytime that I see speculation like that, where there's nothing from either one of the companies to verify that it's even a thought, I automatically am going to, look at it as purely speculation and rumors to try to hype the stock up. Even though we don't know who's behind doing this, the fact is that it's happening and there's nothing to back it up. Now, I can show you dozens of examples. One example of something like this happening, other than, the example from the actual company that we're talking about, with Microsoft, is UAVS. Now, UAVS was supposed to be acquired by Amazon, and the people that were holding UAVS swore by it. I mean, it reminded me exactly of the same situation that I saw with MVIS and Microsoft in the past. And normally, when these rumors are really good, the story behind it is really good, really convincing, a lot of details that really, make it seem like they add up. And UAVS, the shareholders really believed that Amazon would acquire them, and there was nothing that you could tell any of these people to make them believe otherwise. But what happened? Well, what happened essentially is that UAVS never got acquired by Amazon. But I briefly want to revisit the whole situation with Microsoft and MVIS very quickly. No way at all that Microsoft would even consider buying MVIS, because they don't need to. They don't need to buy a company that's not profitable, that's losing money, just for some patents that MVIS has. Now, this is a topic that I've researched a lot in the past when I was making videos about it that turned out to be pretty accurate, but it's also a topic that I've recently dug into and done a lot more research on, and feel like I understand it a lot better now than I did back then. And of course, there's new information that is also, that I've ran across. And I can tell you that the way that the real world works, you're not going to see these companies that have the basically financial means of Microsoft acquiring companies like Microvision based on some patents, when the company itself will essentially be a liability to a company like Microsoft. There's no benefit to them buying this company. If they want the patents or the technology that's patented, they're basically going to just take it from this little guy company, and they can do that. They can do that legally without having any type of legal repercussions, because they can, because they have the money that will allow them to do so. And some of you guys might find it hard to believe, but I believe this next video that I'm going to be releasing will explain all of that. And I'm going to be straight up honest with you guys. I mean, some of this stuff is kind of hard to understand. It took me a little while to really understand what I was, reading as I was researching this, but it pretty much essentially, to make a long story short, these big companies like Microsoft, it's a powerful company with a lot of money, and what they do is take advantage of little companies like Microvision by stealing their technology, their stuff that's patented, and using their power and money to basically just push around these little companies and take what they have. And then Microsoft will actually own it, patent it. And, if a company like Microvision or, for example, any company that tries to come and use their own technology, their own patents, or what used to be their own patents, or what the company believed to be their technology, if they come and try to use it, Microsoft will pretty much stop them from doing so. The big guy takes over what the little guy had, and there's no repercussion whatsoever. That's how everything's set up. When you've got money, you've got power, or at least when you've got the type of money that Microsoft has, you've got power and you can make things happen. And that is the way that the real world works. And just to be clear, I'm not specifically talking about Microsoft doing this in the past, but there's been other companies that have the type of financial means that Microsoft does have, and basically cases where bigger companies have taken advantage of these smaller companies. And so my point here is, that this is possible for big companies like Microsoft to do to little companies like Microvision. I'm not specifically saying that Microsoft would do this to Microvision, or that Microsoft has done this to any other company in the past. At the same time, I'm not saying that Microsoft hasn't done this to other companies in the past. What it all boils down to is finances. Now, Microvision does not have the money to defend themselves should something like this occur, and Microsoft isn't willing to take on any extra liabilities. So the most likely scenario here is that Microsoft just uses the technology that they want to use. They're basically just going to copy and steal it. And if a company like Microvision were to try to fight it, they would have to spend more money than they can afford just to initiate the litigation process. And then on top of that, they would just get tied up in court and have to spend even more money to try to keep the litigation going just to prove their point, which inevitably they're not going to be able to, and they're going to lose because they're not going to be able to afford to go through the entire process. They may not even be, able to afford starting the initial process, which is why they're, trying to get acquired in the first place. They don't have the money to do anything else. And thinking about this logically, I think one question that pops into mind when you hear something like what I'm telling you right now is, well, if if a company like Microsoft can just take another company's patents, then why would they pay royalties to use them in the first place? Because we know that Microsoft has been paying royalties to Microvision to use their technology in the past. So the simple answer to that is this, okay? It's obviously going to cost Microsoft a lot less to pay them royalties and use the technology rather than having to take this to court, but rather than trying to use their technology or their patents and steal them and then face possibly Microvision trying to take it to court and both companies having to spend money in court. Now, that's if Microvision were to even be able to do that. But, the cheapest and fastest way for Microsoft to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish at the time was to just pay royalties. And again, I'm not saying that Microsoft would do something like this, but it's more likely that they would than it is them trying to acquire Microvision, because it is a company that would ultimately be a liability to Microsoft. And another reason that they would have to start off initially by paying royalties would be to get their hands on the technology. And once they have their hands on the technology, then yeah, they can pretty much copy the whole thing. But again, as long as all they have to do is just pay royalty fees, I don't think it's worth it for a bigger company to actually do anything such as stealing the technology of the smaller company. So that was kind of a long deviation from talking about short sellers, but I think it was very necessary because a lot of new people aren't aware of how the process works with these penny stocks, and there's danger lurking around every corner. So I felt that it was my responsibility to pretty much fill you guys in. And I feel that way because, talking to you guys in the comments and kind of reading some of the comments, and not just on the MVIS videos that I've done in the past or even recently, but also based on my recent videos on other stocks that I've done, I see that there are a lot of new people, and I feel like you guys will lose a lot of money if somebody doesn't tell you these things. So rather than just telling you the good things and cheering you on for making money through this rally, I want to make sure that you guys know and understand how everything works and what's going on. And I want to make sure that you guys understand to take profits. Now, some of you guys that I specifically talked to that, we're in MVIS, you guys have told me that you're not going to take profits because you're expecting even bigger profits and you don't necessarily need your investment back, or at the very least, it wouldn't affect you much if you lost that entire investment. Well, that's a different story. If that's your story, then it really doesn't matter because you're going to be okay either way. I do want you to know, the risk involved, but my main concern is for those of you that are, using money that you can't afford to lose. So if that's the case for you, it doesn't matter if you're trading MVIS or any other stock. Make sure that you're careful with your money. Take profits, as soon as they're available to take. And if that means that, you at least sell a partial position, then that's just what you do. But anytime you see a rally the size of the one we just had, I would take profits no matter what, because 99.9% of the time that stock is going to have to fall back, because that's just too big of a move. And people are going to take profits. People are going to attack the stock because they're going to try to short it. I mean, things will happen. That stock will have to come back down. It's just how it works. It may go back up. It may come back up, fairly quickly, but it'll have to come back down somewhat. It may not be all the way down to where it was, but it'll have to come down, somewhere lower than where it's at now. And as you can see, this has been proven true with MVIS. As you guys see today, it's had a significant drop. And, that was going to happen whether Hindenburg Research came out with a report or not. That's just the way it works. Plus, this is a penny stock, and penny stocks are extremely volatile because of how easy they are to manipulate. And I think I've kind of, made that clear with this video today, and kind of shared with you my experiences and what I've seen happen with this specific stock, and even maybe a couple of other stocks that were penny stocks. But I can tell you, I've got millions of other stories about how volatile trading penny stocks can be, or investing in them, whatever the case is for you. So I do want to urge you to be careful with those. One last thing I want to say to kind of finish up here And what I started to say when I originally started off by talking about short sellers. So depending on what stock you're trading, these short sellers, they don't always tell you the truth. They're going to go after whatever stock is running up if they can't find one that's legit got something wrong with it that they can attack. So they're going to come up with whatever just to short the company. So you can feel free to ignore short sellers if you're in a position where you feel, very comfortable with the company that you're holding the stock of. So, for example, like with Neo, if you were holding Neo, I don't know how you guys feel about Neo, or if most of you probably know what Neo is, but I was holding Neo and I held it through Citron, trying to bring it down and attack it. And of course, I'm not going to sell Neo based on what some short seller is saying, because I don't believe the claims in the first place. I mean, yes, the claims that he was making were true to an extent, but what actually happened there was that he worded things in a way to make things seem a lot worse than they actually were, and wanted to make people believe that Neo was never going to earn the valuation that it was at the current time, which was, simply not true. So I ignored those. They didn't really, go anywhere. The stock initially dropped on the report and then recovered very quickly. So Neo being a long position for me, I'm not going to sell it based off of a short report. But anyhow, guys, that's all I have for you today, or at least in this video. Maybe you'll see another video coming out today. At least I think you will, or I hope I'm going to get it done. But I do thank you all for watching. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already. And I would like for you guys to leave a comment and let me know what you thought about this video. Was it a little bit too much? Was it, something that you guys would want to see more of in the future, or these types of videos? Or do you just want me to stick to the typical videos that I've been doing on my channel? So let me know that in the comments below. And I will see you guys in the next video. I've got the end screen coming up with more videos from my channel if you guys want to check those out. And if not, you guys are free to go. I'll see you guys in the next video. Congrats, ladies and gentlemen. You've made it to the end of the video. If you like what you watched, make sure you subscribe, because I put out videos just like this one every single day. And please do me a favor and smash that like button if I helped you in any way, because it really goes a long way in helping the channel out and keeps me motivated to make videos every single day. Now, there's a lot of work involved, a lot of research, and a lot of time and effort into editing and putting these out daily for you guys. You can subscribe from your screen right now, or if you want to watch one of my other videos, I'm sure YouTube has some good content picked out for you on the left-hand side of your screen now. Thanks for sticking it out with me till the end, and I will see you guys in the next video.